The number one rule of photography is to get the shot. The number one rule of combat photography is probably to get the shot and try not to get shot. Welcome to Rebel Intel Throwback Thursday, and in this post I'm going to cover 3 topics. Number 1, I'm going to cover the very well documented and common knowledge perils of combat photography and journalism. Number 2, I'll be simultaneously going over a list of my favorite movies depicting combat journalism. And number 3, the throwback part, is we're simultaneously covering El Salvador in 1980, the 1982 Lebanon Sabra and Shatila massacre, and the 1979 scene from Nicaragua. Amazingly, these scenarios we will go over also touch on international relations and geopolitics, national security agendas, PSYOP, CIA mercenaries, private contractors, intelligence and espionage, and grave human rights violations. It's going to be like a Rebel Intel buffet up in this piece. My favorite of these movies is Nick Nolte in the 1983 American political thriller Under Fire. Nolte plays a photographer who transfers from covering a military conflict in Chad to the Nicaraguan revolution in the last days of the Somoza regime in 1979. This is a scene just before leaving Chad where Nolte runs into a CIA merc that he knows.
Thought you were fighting for the government.
I am. This is the government.
These are the rebels.
The fuck they are, man. This is a government convoy to Columbus.
This is the Abu Dan Revolutionary Front.
Now watch the explanation of this PSYOP leaflet drop.
Oh, it's what the hell is this?
The U.S. government offers that house to any Cuban pilot flying MiGs for the rebels who chooses to defect to America with a Russian jet.
But that's bullshit.
Yeah, we know that, but they don't. See, they figure the Cubies are gonna go straight for that swimming pool, so they don't let them anywhere near the Russian jets.
The rebels can't fly MiGs.
Pricey, that's the point. They destroy their own Air Force. I mean, it's an old scam, but it's guaranteed.
What is the CIA?
Yeah. Smartest guys in the world.
Obviously, the film gets dark and murky on the morals and ethics side of war, which is already shady and ugly, and where truth is always the first casualty. In Nicaragua, Nolte also meets a sleazy French spy named Jazzy. Next, we move to the Christopher Walken movie Deadline. Walken is an International Press Corps photojournalist who covered Vietnam and Indochina in the 70s and transfers to Lebanon. He has dangerous run-ins with Islamic militants, Christian Phalange, IDF, and Mossad. Walken ends up being at the scene of the Sabra and Shatila massacre. In another scene, he's depicted as using locals to do the dangerous photography work while he gets drunk in the hotel bar. He tells one of the British journalists he doesn't understand the conflict in Lebanon, saying he can't tell who's shooting at who. The British journalist tells him, "This is Lebanon, where you don't kill who you want, you kill who you can," and he asks him if he's sure he's in the right profession. Lastly, let's check out James Woods in Salvador. Woods plays the real-life photojournalist Richard Boyle. Some parts are a bit dramatized and fictionalized, but Richard Boyle was a real photojournalist. He ends up mingling with government death squads and photographing the scenes of atrocities where bodies are dumped on the hillside. Death squads sometimes killed civilians for simply not having their cedula in possession. A cedula is like an ID card and voter registration card at the same time. Boyle also ends up witnessing the assassination of Archbishop Oscar Romero, another real-life event, which along with the slaying of some American nuns was a very big deal at the time. Parallel, there's a scene in the movie Romero depicting a priory of high-level priests dubbing Romero a Jesuit dupe, and it seems to infer to me that they knowingly set him up. Additional movies covering similar topics with the main theme of combat photojournalism are plenty, and they are like War Stories with Jeff Goldblum, The Year of Living Dangerously with Mel Gibson and Sigourney Weaver, The Killing Fields, and more. Check out my IMDb list. Movies aside, what are the facts? The fact is one can Google and see whole Wikipedia pages and other websites listing the number and names of slain journalists in conflict. Hundreds of them in multiple countries: Iraq, Guatemala and other Central American countries, Afghanistan and Pakistan, the Balkans, Mexico, Haiti, Ukraine, and more. It's common knowledge that combat photography and journalism is very dangerous, especially when one country controls the battle space and tells journalists they can't guarantee their safety if they go into the battle space. I sympathize with these journalists, but international law has done jack shit to protect them, and they knew the job was dangerous when they took it.